Everyone, Carole Garrison with Carole's Creative Escape. A couple minutes late here, I apologize for that. Mad scramble to get a couple last pieces cut because I made a last minute change to my card design, so I apologize for that. Hope everybody's doing okay. Just waiting for things to kind of pop up on my Facebook page. There we go, so that I can see what's going on out here. If you are out there and watching, give me a thumbs up or a quick hello so that I know people are there. Hey Donna, how are you? Glad you could join me today. Well, it was just a mad scramble to get a couple things done. I had to go. Hi Twyla, how are you? Had an appointment right after work and it took a little bit longer than I was expecting, so my prep time changed just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna get going here. I just got to grab one more piece of ribbon that I wanted to use on this card, and then we can get started. So today's card, I was actually inspired by Anita Dixon. She's another demonstrator that's part of my group, and I participated recently in a Fun Fold one-on-one swap with members of people in my stamping group, and so I've gotten some fantastic Fun Fold cards, and I really liked the one that I received from Anita, so I decided today I was going to use that one for my demonstration tonight. So this is the card that I received from Anita, and it's just kind of a flat fold card. I'm not sure what you would call it, Anita. If there's a fancy name and you happen to be watching, let me know. But a simple card to make, and so I've got this one from Anita, and then I whipped out just a couple more. Unfortunately, I smeared my writing, so I'm going to have to embellish just a little bit right there, I think. But here's one that I made using the Daisy Lane stamp set, and I wrote paper names down so I wouldn't forget this time. The True Love Designer Series paper that's in the January to June. I'm going to try to zoom in here a little bit if I can. January to June mini catalog. So not just for Valentine's Day. I really love the look of the real red and basic black color combos together. I just think it looks really nice. And then I did take this metallic ribbon that we have, and I used my real red blends pen and colored in my ribbon so that I would have it to match on this card. And then I just did two of the daisies and popped them up. So that is that card. And then I also tried to get my masculine version of a card made. So for this one, I used the Special Someone stamp set and the Designer Series paper from the World of Good suite, and just used the cute little raccoon and a little bit of the bumblebee to accent on this card, and a quick masculine happy birthday card. And then I kind of used my ribbon on here as a tuck for my flap as well. So that's just a little bit different from these other two cards that we've got here. So let me set this stuff aside, and then we can go ahead and get started on the card. I need to run and get one thing. Forgot to grab my greeting stamp that I was going to use. So today I am actually using a stamp set that as we approach the end of the catalog, I try to figure out, well, what stamps are we doing? Do I think might be leaving? And then I can hopefully make cards that'll match up with that. I'm going to do a little camera adjusting here, so I apologize for the movement. I think I'm a little off base. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Painted Poppies. If you recall from the annual catalog, it's been a while since I've had these out. So to get started on this card, what you're going to need is a piece of cardstock that measures 6.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and you're going to score it at 2 1/4. So again, 5.5 by 6.5, scored at 2 1/4. And then you will need a piece of either designer series paper or cardstock. I happen to be using cardstock today because the designer series paper I thought I had, I didn't order it in that color. So I am just using some cardstock in the Poppy Parade color that I embossed through the impressions folder. And so that is what I'm going to use as my texture. And as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking I don't have a really straight cut, and that might bug me just a teeny bit. So I'm going to come in and do a quick trim on that. I think this edge is straight. It was this edge that looked crooked to me. And it was just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Easy fix. So anyhow, I just added a little detail to my cardstock so that there'd be some texture to it as opposed to using designer series paper. You'll also need a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of neutral cardstock to put inside here. And then finally, I am using basic black for my flap piece, as well as a piece of Poppy Parade that I just cut a little bit off with my die so that I've got the alternating color there. Now I'm going to go back real quick. If you notice on Anita's card, she has just 2 layers here. On my Daisy card, I actually put 3 layers. So I've got the real red for my little piece, the basic black for the original flap, and then I cut down the next size on these nesting dies for Whisper White because I wanted my flowers to pop a little more than what I thought they were going to. So you can layer it up just slightly different way. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you is, if you notice on this birthday card, I've actually used rectangle greetings, and I used my stitch rectangles to create, I know the stitching doesn't show up very much on my embossed piece, but maybe it does here for you. I used my stitch rectangles to create the flap instead, so I just wanted to show a slightly different look in case you didn't have those nested label dies. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going. Now, one thing that I found helped is to score my nested label piece just a little bit. It just seemed to help me as I was attaching it and creating my flap. And so what I did was just line up this particular flap so that the part where it starts to be the same size is right in my cutting groove. And then I just ran my score blade over that. So the score line is right here. Kind of where the point ends is where I put my score line. Hopefully that makes sense for you. And I just wanted that to create a firmer flap so that when I put it under my basic white interior cardstock, it's going to lay flat in there. And then this piece, you're just going to layer underneath here. Now I am choosing, because of the poppies that I'm using, I am choosing not to put anything in terms of texture on this piece. I wanted to just leave it smooth because I want my flowers to be the focus. So for attaching this, just take your tape runner and add your adhesive and adhere the card so that your sides are lined up, and you just get that extra border kind of right at the bottom. And if it's hanging over, it looks like I have just a skosh hanging over here, you can take your paper snips and trim off that little bit if you want to. Okay, so when this card goes together, you're going to have your greeting in this corner of your card. And so I am, like I said, I pulled out my Peaceful Moments Painted Poppies, and I am actually going to use a greeting from the Peaceful Moments stamp set. And I am going to turn this card into I think it's going to be kind of a birthday card, or I could use it as a congratulations type card. So I am going to use the stamp that says, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. And that kind of covers birthday. It might cover a retirement if push came to shove. It could cover graduation, maybe a baby shower, wedding shower, or even a wedding card with the happiness that this day will bring. So a lot of flexibility, I think, with that greeting. So I'm just going to stamp it up in my Poppy Parade ink and hit this upper corner. And of course, close my ink up right away so that I don't end up wearing more of it. And I'm going to clean my stamp right off with my chamois so that I don't inadvertently set a piece of one of the card parts on it. Has anybody ever done that before? You're almost done, and then the very last thing you do is stick your final piece of a card right into your open ink pad. That's never fun when that happens. Okay, and then the next part that I want to work on is I use the dies that go with the poppy stamps, and I die cut out the two flowers along with the petal images from the dies. And I did use adhesive sheets on the back of these so that they'd be easier to adhere to the Poppy Parade portion of the card. And I'm having a little issue getting that one piece out. Oh, there it came out. So I'm just going to peel the backing off, and I will attach it. If you haven't gotten any of the adhesive sheets that we sell, I highly recommend them. They work really great for this fine detail. A lot of people will use the Tombow glue too, but I prefer the adhesive sheets over Tombow. We all have our preferences, I think, when it comes to that. Let me get the back off for this bigger flower. I always have to spin it a couple times to make sure I get it in the right spot. And I wasn't sure if I was going to need these pieces, but I think just to give a little more pop to the center of these flowers, I am going to put in, I think I'll use these two, these die cuts as well. I just wasn't sure which one I was going to like best when I was cutting them out, so I figured I'd cut them all out and then figure it out once I got going here. So I'm just going to use a glue dot to stick down the center on this flower, and then I'm going to use another glue dot for this little half piece for the smaller flower. Whoops. Whoops. Oh dear, I just pulled off one of the petals. Alright, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. And that just won't show up. Okay. It's my card, I can say that, right? So now we're going to start assembling the card, and I'm just going to fold this flap over and take my bone folder and burnish it. So I've got a good sharp crease there. And I'm going to do the same with the flap on this card. And before I attach it, I wanted to bring just a little bit of green into this card. And so I want to wrap it around this designer series paper. In my instructions, I think I said if you had a 1/4 inch by a 5 1/4 inch, that would be the piece you'd use for your strip, kind of like right here. And you can use ribbon as well. That's all I did on this one, was just throw in a piece of the ribbon to add a little decor. So on this one, I want to use, this is the braided linen trim, and I am just going to take a little bit of adhesive here and a little bit here, and using my scissors that I use for ribbon as opposed to paper, I'm going to cut off a chunk, and I'm just going to attach it there and there, and then I will attach the cardstock to the front of the flap. Did everybody get outside this weekend and enjoy that gorgeous weather? Wow, it was so windy, but at least it was a kind of southwesterly bridge wind, maybe, which made it a little more bearable. Then I am going to tie a bow. I like to use a bow tire because I'm not very good at making bows. And so I got this little tool. Again, this is a tool that my dad made for me a couple years ago. And it is how I cheat and tie most of my bows. It just goes a lot quicker for me. Okay. One thing I do want to make you guys aware of is we are going to be rolling out a new catalog pretty soon. And so that means that there will be some retiring items coming up. And typically when there's retiring items, there's stuff that shows up on a clearance rack. So keep an eye on my Facebook page and here for announcements related to those sales. In particular, if you like any of the current in colors, which would include the Rococo Rose, Pretty Peacock, Terracotta Tile, Seaside Spray, and the Purple Posy, you want to make sure you even start ordering those now, simply because they always will sell out. So if you really want any of the ink refills, the cardstock, any of the ribbons that contain those colors, remember there's these the really pretty ribbon with the burlap in it with those ink colors on either side of it. Make sure you get those orders in now because it's no guarantee they're going to last for a long time. I am also going to add a little bit more stamping to the bottom of my inside piece. And so one of the things that I want to do is get a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to black up my image, and this I am going to stamp in my Tuxedo Black Memento ink because I am going to be coming back and using my blend pens to add a little color to this as well. So there we go. I love this stamp set because it makes such pretty borders, and there's just a lot of detail without a lot of tough stamping or coloring or anything to do to get where we're going here. And grab my poppy blends. And because these are such small spaces, I'm just going to take the dark poppy parade and color in the flowers. And I'm using the fine tip end. Usually I use the broader brush stroke when I'm using my blends, but today, because these are smaller spaces, I am going to use the fine tip, and partly because I'm also on camera coloring, and that's kind of nerve-wracking because you want to stay in the lines. So today I got out for a walk over lunch with my mom, which was quite nice. We go walking in her neighborhood. John will come meet me with Loki at lunchtime, and we get in a walk. We're trying to do as much of that as we can when the weather was permitting, and actually got to do a lot of it even this winter. So it makes a nice lunch break for me from work, and gets the dog out walking so he's a little calmer at night. And my mom has very much appreciated the change of scenery and that type of thing. But today is the first day where all three of us actually got hot walking and had to either take our jacket off or unzip it completely, including my mom. So I think we are getting closer to our warmer weather here in Minnesota, hopefully. The next couple days we're supposed to have a lot of rain. But that's always kind of nice too, because it washes all of our snow off. Although I think our yard is completely bare finally, but it does kind of wash away some of the dirt and just the mess that comes from having snow sitting on your yard for extended periods of time. And then the other magic that happens is as soon as the rain stops and the sunshine comes out, everything starts to turn green. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen, that transformation happen. I was checking out a couple of the trees in my yard. I've got some great big maple trees. And I noticed that they're full of buds. And so I'm hoping that soon we will start to see some green on our trees. Last year we had a new tree planted. There was an issue with a business in our area and part of their settlement, because there was some environmental stuff that occurred. Part of their settlement was to plant a certain number of trees each year for a fixed period of years, and our neighborhood was chosen as one of those neighborhoods that should get some of the trees. So we had a new one. It's a hybrid elm tree planted, and it went in kind of late last year, so I'm hoping that that tree makes it as well, because it was quite young when our cold weather hit last year. Almost done coloring here. And we were able last week to get all of the final remnants of our Christmas decorations down. We had some of those white deer that light up and are staked into the ground. And then my mom and dad always had these really pretty Christmas candles out lining their sidewalk. And of course, this past Christmas was the first year they weren't in their house to be able to do that. So we ended up with the candles at our house and had them out in front of our sidewalk. And it actually looked really pretty. But the stakes always stay in the ground. So that's always been our kind of true sign of winter being over, is when those candle stakes come out. I'm going to add just a little bit of green on the stems too. Not necessarily all of them, but I think it'll add a little bit of color. So yeah, we were able to pull those out last week when we had a lot of the sunshine. So one more step towards hitting our summer and spring. With COVID, it's been kind of tough being in the house all winter, so super happy that we have better weather for being outside now. Okay. There we go. Just a little extra coloring. So to assemble this card, what you need to do now is just on this flap that is folded over, take some of your adhesive and put it on that flap, and then I just kind of line it up about here, pretty close to the edge, not right on the edge. And you just want to make sure you have it straight. And so I find that if I close it down before I press it down, I'm pretty good at getting it lined up. And then we're going to adhere the inside piece. And I will put that down here. There we go. You guys, I apologize for not addressing you. I'm not seeing comments come through on my screen. And so I will have to go back after I'm done here and do that. Okay, then what we're going to do is attach these pretty poppy flowers that we made. And I want them to pop up, so I am going to use some dimensionals. I did some cleaning and now I don't know where I put everything. Okay, I got bits and pieces of dimensionals. I cut them down to fit a spot that I can keep them on my table. So these are just regular sheets that I cut down, kind of the bits and pieces of them that I had left. I'll put that there, and I'm going to get rid of that piece. And add a few more. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you learn from my mistakes, is make sure that you check where you're putting your greeting and your flaps so that you don't do what I just did here, which is cover up part of my greeting. I'm going to see if I might be able to peel this off without doing too much damage. And I did. Yay. So I want to just line this up. It'll be close to the edge. Okay, not a problem. I'm going to put that there, tuck it in. I'll have just a little bit of it showing there. Okay, perfect, but now my greeting shows. And then I am just going to put these bright colored poppies onto my paper here. And have it decorated like so. And I think what I need to do, if you guys can bear with me real quick, I'm going to grab a piece of mossy meadow scrap and cut out a leaf real quick so I can stick it in. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm kind of doing a few pieces, changing my mind here as I've been working on it. So let me grab a piece of the silicone mat, and I'm just going to run some adhesive over it. think I got more on my fingers than I got on the paper just now. So we got a lot of exciting things happening with Stampin' Up. Like I said, there'll be a new catalog coming out. Demonstrators will learn on the 24th which items they'll be retiring. Like I said, there'll be a sale then on the clearance rack of those retired items. So you'll want to make sure that you're paying attention to that in case there's some items that you want. I haven't a clue what's retiring. I have a few things that I hope don't retire, but of course that's completely out of my control. Oh yeah, I think it needed that leaf. That added a lot to it. And then of course there'll be a new catalog coming out, so if that's something you're interested in receiving from me, and you don't already have a demonstrator in the US, let me know and I'd be happy to get you added to the list to get one out for you. And we'll have lots of new fun things to share with you. I'll be tending an on-tour, on-stage type, I guess they're calling it on-tour. It'll be a virtual type session again because of COVID, but I will get a stamp set from the new catalog as part of that, so I can start showing you a few things early on here as well. Our catalog, the big annual catalog, will be expiring on May 3rd, with the new annual catalog coming out May 4th. The January to June mini catalog actually goes through, as it sounds like, January to June, and there will be a similar retirement type thing for that catalog as well. So a few things happening, but we are working our way slowly through to a new Stampin' Up year, for lack of a better description on calling it anything, and there'll be some information to share with you on that as well. So stay tuned to the Facebook page and emails for those that are on my mailing list for some information on that. So again, I want to just share with you these cards that we made, inspired by the one that I received from Anita Dixon. Here's one with the poppies. I've got one using the daisies, hers using the cute little kangaroo with the pocket for the flowers, and then again with our special someone stamp set to make our masculine version of the card. So if you like this video, please make a comment, share it with your friends. I would love to grow this group and add a few more people to the group here. I will be posting this on my YouTube channel as well, and creating some blog information for this, so the directions are out there in that format as well. But again, I appreciate you taking the time. Sorry that I jumped around just a little bit on it. And we will see you Thursday for my Thursday tip video that just shows up on the page. It's not a live event. There's just a tip for you on Thursday. And then I will see you back again next Monday, the 29th, for another Make It Monday. And I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good week, and thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.